G'day folks, and welcome to episode 3 of Nomifactory. So in between episodes, I've just been doing a little bit of infrastructure work. So I've got these dynamos actually doing stuff now. They're hooked up to an energy converter, which is going into a 16 amp battery buffer, which is basically going to power our first machine line. So because conductive iron is a superconductor, it has no cable loss, so theoretically this line can just keep going for as long as we need it to. We are probably going to use most of this space this episode, so I am probably going to have to add another platform, another chunk here. But in the meantime, I've just gotten all the machines moved over. I got the LV mixer because we will need that soon. And I was crafting a bunch of machines anyway for what we're going to do today. I also put a fuel catalyst into this dynamo. Fuel catalysts do not work in the turbine dynamos, as far as I'm aware, at least from what I've read. So basically, if you put a fuel catalyst in here, it does not reduce the amount of steam that it consumes, so it's basically just a waste. I don't think you really want to augment these, because if you put auxiliary transmission coils in them, for example, then that would unbalance this ratio. The other thing, the one thing you could potentially put in is the excitation coil. What is it? Excitation field limiter. I don't know if this works with... I don't think this works with the turbine dynamos, but basically it means that the dynamo will stop burning fuel when it's... Not when it's full. It does reduce the storage capacity slightly if you put this on. But it means that when it hits a particular threshold, I think it's like 75% or something, it will actually stop burning fuel. Whereas these just keep burning fuel forever, but we don't care because we have renewable fuel. I also crafted up the Dark Steel Enchanter. This is technically gated by MV because it needs black quartz, which is a MV recipe that you get from... Yeah, because you can't buy the ore. It is a MV recipe you get from electrolyzing quartzite dust. But you can find black quartz in the loot chests in the Lost Cities. So I managed to find about 9. You only need 1 to craft this. And then everything else it needs is just dark steel and diamonds. What this lets you do is it lets you create enchanted books. So if we look at, say... so what I've done for my axe and my mining hammer is I've put Unbreaking 3, and I've also put Efficiency 5 on them. So Unbreaking 3 is a book and quill, 3 obsidian, 9 lapis, and 18 levels of experience, and you get the book. And then you just throw it in an anvil like normal. Efficiency 5 is 60 redstone per book. I definitely got it for this axe because we're going to be cutting down these rubber trees for a while, and it basically makes it really fast to fell these trees. I've not taken the mining hammer for a spin yet, so I don't know how good it is with efficiency 5, but I'm hoping it's noticeably faster. Right, so what we're going to do today is we're going to spend some time in this tab. So one of the other really important early game things is to get a cobble works up and running so you can automate pulsating polymer clay. This is massively important in the pack, especially in the early game, for deep mob learning to generate renewable resources. So in the beginning, we can only automate up to the clay, or we can only renewably make clay. We can't renewably make pulsating dust until we do some deep mob learning shenanigans. So basically we will we start with cobblestone, which there is an infinite cobblestone generator block, which is this thing. I will need to craft another one. You then forge hammer cobblestone to make gravel. You then forge hammer gravel to make sand. You then I think you then forge hammer sand again to make dust. and then you combine dust with water in a chemical reactor to make clay. And basically after that, you can then put the clay and the pulsating dust into an alloy smelter to get pulsating polymer clay. But clay does have another use, which is it's a good way to get aluminium. That's not what I wanted. Clay dust. So you can macerate the clay into clay dust, and then you can electrolyze it to get sodium, silicon. Both of these are quite useful. Lithium, which is, I think at the moment is really only useful for making batteries, and aluminium, which we're going to need a lot of as we go into MV. And the water we'll just throw away. We'll just send that into a fluid trash can. So I think I've got everything. I may need another forge hammer. I think I missed the fact that dust is made... Oh, is it dust block? Yeah, I missed the fact I need another forge hammer. So I need to make an anvil. I'll just quickly make an anvil, or quickly make another forge hammer, and then we'll come back. And we are back. We crafted up another forge hammer, and we are crafting up the second infinite cobblestone generator, since we're going to have two rows of machines. At the moment, we're just going to do them at either side of this, but eventually, as we start to automate more DML stuff, they'll move into their own little area. But for now, I'm trying to reduce the number of these converters that I need to build. So, basically, the way so what we're going to do is we are going to make cobblestone into gravel, gravel into sand, sand into dust, and dust into clay. We're going to do all that in a row. And then the next row that we're going to do on the other side is basically going to be sand, gravel, cobble, sand, gravel, sand, glass, nether quartz. And then that way, we will have renewable nether quartz, which we will need at some point. So if we do, and what we're going to do is we're actually going to, we need some storage drawers. Because we want to actually have buffers of all this stuff. But likely what we will do is... what we will likely do is we will use a storage downgrade, because we don't... Yeah, that's just flint, so that's fine. I mean, I don't think we have a huge amount of flint. We have 9. So storage downgrade reduces the storage size to a single stack. Actually, no, to be fair, we don't need storage downgrade for cobble. We don't need it for cobble. Or for the various other things. So we'll need, so for the first one we'll need cobble, gravel, sand, dust, clay. And we also need item conduits, which I've crafted up. Because what we could, in theory, do is shove the machine down and then basically put the drawer next to it and auto output, but I don't want this to take up like 10 million blocks. So what we're going to do is we will actually use conduits to input and output from the machines on different colors. So, oh, I need to actually make the drawers. That would be helpful, wouldn't it? So if we make... I actually need oak. I don't like the look of the rubberwood drawers, so we just use the rubberwood to make the chests. But I prefer the look of the oak drawers. So if we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... I guess one other nice quality of life thing that I didn't call out, almost anything can be it can be picked up with the pickaxe. So normally in some other GT packs, you have to use the wrench to pick up the machine, otherwise you won't get the machine back. Or in some cases, I believe in GTNH, for example, I think the machine might explode if you don't pick it up with the wrench. In Nomi, you can mine pretty much everything. Same with wires. Wires, you normally have to use the wire cutter. With Nomi, you can just simply use the pickaxe. Obviously, to connect wires and whatnot, and to interact with machines, like change sides and stuff like that, you still need the wrench. But yeah, in fact, speaking of which, I need the wire cutters, which are in the crafting table. And we'll just get these machines set up, and then we'll be back. And we are back. So we have our clay production up. So the way this works is I've got the infinite cobblestone generator under there. I upgraded it to the next one up, which is 16 per second. Yeah, that one produces 16 per second. That's going into this forge hammer, which is turning it into gravel. As you can see it flickering in and out of that drawer. Then the gravel goes into this forge hammer, which turns it into sand. Into this forge hammer, which turns it into dust. And then the water, I have an end of wire behind there, which is feeding water into this chemical reactor to turn it into clay. And then the recipe for pulsating polymer clay is just to shove the clay into an alloy smelter with resonant dust. With pulsating dust, sorry. Eventually, we will passive this, but for now, we'll just do it manually. Because we don't have a renewable source of pulsating dust. So what we want to do now is we actually want to macerate the clay. And then we want to electrolyze it. Now, we're not going to buffer the clay dust. We'll just send the clay dust directly into the electrolyzer. But we will obviously buffer the outputs. I guess just one other thing, in case you didn't know, in GTCEu you can silence a machine by simply bonking it with a hard hammer. Just right click with the hard hammer. And that's how you do that. I do generally like the machine noises, but obviously if I have lots of one machine, you know, if all three of these were going, that wouldn't be particularly nice. So I will mute the machines sometimes, especially in setups like this. So if I add another item conduit to here, and then we basically we're just using different colors because we don't want to use item filters right now because item filters are quite expensive at the moment. So if we just, at least until we get the assembler, because I think that's when hoppers get cheaper. Yeah. Once we get the LV assembler, then item filters are less of a problem. But for now, they're a bit annoying to make. So we want to insert on light blue, which is our color for clay. That's going to macerate in there. Now you see that's a ULV recipe, so we could, eventually we could have an MV macerator here, and it would still fit, and it would still only consume ATU, since an overclock uses 4 times energy for twice the speed. But now this is going in here. Although I just realized this, yeah, this produces 4 per block. You know, per block of this that it macerates, it produces 4 clay dust, so it actually doesn't need to be thingy. But here we go. So we get sodium, silicon, and lithium, and aluminium. And we will simply grab those, because there is a quest to grab all these. And there we go. We have the LV electrolyzer quest. So I'm going to set up a mirror setup on the other side. Oh, we also got the lithium quest. I'm going to... so basically, some of these endgame quests only unlock after certain after you've achieved, done certain things. But obviously, if you hold the stack before the quest unlocks, which I believe is not the behavior in GTNH, or in older versions of better questing, But in Nomifactory's version of beta questing, if you hold the item while the quest is still locked, I believe you actually do get the quest, because this was locked, and but I have held 64 lithium dust before, so we can grab that. So I'm going to do a mirror setup on this side, and the mirror setup on this side is basically going to be for making nether quartz and glass. So for that, it is basically a very similar setup. So it's forge hammer. Oh, where's my pickaxe? There. So it will be. Where's my forge hammer? There. So it'll be gravel, sand. I've ended up with 2 spare forge hammers. Because I only need gravel. I only need cobble to gravel, gravel to sand. I then need sand to... I need to put sand into the furnace to turn it into glass. And then I need to... and then basically I will want 2 electrolyzers. I will want a electrolyzer for... I'm actually just tempted to make water, do water electrolysis. It's not as efficient as silicon dioxide, but it does get me hydrogen as well. It's very slow, but if we passive it, it's probably not the end of the world. We'll see. But at the very least, I need an electrolyzer to take glass, and we'll see about whether or not I do the silicon dioxide electrolyzer. So I'll just quickly get that set up, and then we'll be back. And we are back. So I've got the other side set up now. Basically the same forge hammer setup, so coming out the infinite cobble source to make gravel, and then sand, but I'm not buffering the gravel or sand on this side, there's no point. So I'm just inputting, this is just outputting directly into this. Just 1 second. Sorry about that. So this is outputting gravel into here. Directly into here to make into sand, and then this is outputting directly into the furnace to smelt it into glass, and the furnace is directly outputting into the electrolyzer to electrolyze it into nether quartz. This is also extracting using a conduit into, or sorry, it's getting from here to the furnace with a conduit as well. So the sand is being taken out of here by a conduit to go into the furnace, but also to go into this macerator, where it will be turned into quartz sand, and the quartz sand is sent directly into a centrifuge. The output from the quartz sand is quartzite and Certus quartz dust, but the Certus quartz dust is just a percentage chance. It's a 20% chance at LV. So what we have is we have the drawers locked using the drawer key, and then we have a void upgrade on the quartzite drawer, because we will always get more quartzite than Certus quartz, but we don't actually care too much about the quartzite. We want the Certus quartz dust. So in theory, that means that we could now start looking at heading towards deep mob learning. So I think one thing that we will do is we will upgrade our dynamos from the basic to the hardened, because we can do that now that we have the alloy smelter. So that just requires a hardened upgrade kit. So it's just Invar gears, Invar plates, and electrical steel. The electrical steel is what we need for the... we need to get this set up. Yeah, we need to get this set up passive, because we need silicon for electrical steel. So silicon and steel makes electrical steel, and we need a block of electrical steel to upgrade these dynamos. So I will quickly... I will go away and just finish... getting this set up. We just need a full trash can and a drawer and a set of drawers for all this stuff to go in, and we'll be back. Right, and we are back. So we're going to set up the drawers for the outputs from this electrolyzer. Basically, it outputs lithium, silicon, sodium, and aluminium. Now, we don't want We don't want massive buffers of all of those because of how much power it takes. Actually, to be fair, it's only taking 15 EU. So basically what we want is we just want to go 1, 2, and we'll extract on some color that's not in use. Maybe just red or black. There we go. And then insert black. Insert black. Oh, we don't want to. There we go. And then we'll lock those. So what I was going to do is I was actually going to put a storage downgrade on, which would reduce it to a single stack, and then put a storage upgrade 2 on, which would boost it by ×4, so that would take it up to 4 stacks. But given how little power this actually uses, I think I might just let these build up. Which means the only real thing we need is 2 more drawers. Not there. Is 2 more drawers. Not. Yeah. Let's turn that. So and then 1 there. Basically, this will be for the aluminium and the lithium. Now, the aluminium we want to keep, but the lithium we want to basically stop when any of these are full, except for lithium. So we're going to put a void upgrade on lithium. I think I might actually put a void upgrade on sodium as well, because we will be using a decent amount of silicon and aluminium, so they shouldn't clog up too much. I don't know what our sodium usage is going to be like, so I think what we'll do is we'll shove a void upgrade onto the sodium drawer as well. We'll keep these storage upgrades for now. I don't want to use them. I don't want to build up it because we have to process this as well. So put that on the sodium drawer. We have to process these as well. This is used in dust and ingot form. It's used to help make wafers and a few other bits. This has to go through... It is used in dust form to mix with other dust to make certain alloys and so on. But in MV, we need aluminium ingots, and they have to go through the blast furnace. So bearing in mind that whatever we put in here, we actually have to process. We will passive aluminium in the blast furnace at some point, so I guess that's something I should probably comment on. Nomi, the way that Nomi sort of works is it is geared towards being able to passive stuff. You don't have to, but it basically is it is very passive friendly as opposed to say GTNH where more things require the blast furnace. So pulsating iron requires the blast furnace, and so does conductive iron in GTNH. And they also have longer recipe times, therefore using more power. So whereas Nomi is quite passive friendly, I believe aluminium is 20 seconds or 13.5 seconds if you use nitrogen. And obviously that's at the lowest tier. As we overclock the blast furnace and upgrade the coils on it, it would get faster. So we probably will look at passiving aluminium at some point. This conduit network arguably could... These conduits, 2 conduits on each side could arguably join up. There's no conflicting colors except for the sand and the gravel, but that's not the end of the world. So yeah, so this is going to take an absolute eternity to do stuff. But we now have a renewable source of sodium. We have a renewable source of silicon, which we're going to need a lot of. We have a renewable source of aluminium, which we're going to need a lot of. And we have a renewable source of lithium, which we don't really care about right now. So what do we want to do next then? I guess what we probably want to look at next is getting into deep mob learning. So deep mob learning is basically allows you to make resources out of nothing. So you put your you make data models that represent the individual mobs, and those, it's all explained in the Simulating Resources tab. You make data models that represent individual mobs, such as the zombie model, etc. You level these up in a simulation chamber, and they consume different amounts of energy. So usually, generally, depending on how valuable the loot they give is. So the witch, for example, pristine witch matter. That's actually not. If I look at the shulker model, for example, this gives diamonds from its pristine matter, and it uses 512 RF per tick to do the simulation. There are some that, yeah, Wither and the Ender Dragon, these will be needed later. They won't be needed now. Enderman. This is the one that takes. This is the one I was thinking of. That's 2048, because it can give you Ender Pearls, and basically once you automate Ender Pearls, you can fully renewably create pulsating polymer clay, which means your deep mob learning setup basically becomes self-sustaining. But we're a little way off that for now. So it starts with the simulation chamber, and in the simulation chamber, you level up the excuse me. You level up the data model, and once it gets to the maximum level, which is self-aware, it will have a higher chance of making pristine matter. And the pristine matter is goes into a loot fabricator, and it will give you one of the items listed in the tooltip. You can select which one you want. But from every run, you will also get a matter. So it'll either be overworldian matter, hellish matter, or extraterrestrial matter, depending on what type of mob it is. And these are used to make other data models. And also used to make certain items. So, for example, you can make iron ingots from overworldian matter and rotten flesh. You can make iron ingots, so we won't have to go mining for iron, anytime soon. You can get iron from pristine zombie matter as well, but realistically, in the beginning, we won't. Realistically, in the beginning, we will just get iron from overworldian matter combined with rotten flesh, and then rotten flesh we can actually make with overworldian matter and a meat. So I believe there are a couple of recipes. Yeah, so there's chicken, beef. See, we have cows. So yeah, we have. So this is basically deep mob learning. Now we'll see, we should be able to make the simulation chamber almost. We just need to make the pulsating mesh, which is just pulsating dust and carbon fiber mesh. Carbon fiber mesh we can make with string and coal in an alloy smelter. So we should, and then the simulation chamber itself needs 3 LV circuits, a glass pane, which we've got, and it needs dark steel, which we also have. But before we look at that, I think we do need to upgrade our power output. So I'm going to go away and craft some of these hardened upgrade kits, which is just a load of Invar, and now that we have the electrolyzer gun making silicon, we can make some electrical steel, and Invar is just nickel and iron in the blast furnace, so I will have to grab some nickel ore. I think we'll just buy some rather than go mining. Yeah, we'll just buy some rather than go mining, and we'll throw it in the macerator and double it. So that's going to take a little while to process. So we'll be back once the macerator's finished. And we are back. So I've crafted hardened upgrades for these dynamos. So these are now hardened dynamos. I should be able to throw more fuel catalysts in here at some point. But for now, this is still, this will still happily feed one of these even without additional catalysts. We have also got the simulation chamber from Deep Mob Learning, and what we are going to do very quickly is just kill a couple of these cows to get some beef. Do it with the butchery knife to get the better chance. To get the better chance, and so we have 49. We have 49 raw beef. In terms of ratios, the of rotten flesh, the best is raw beef. So raw beef and overworldian matter. We'll have a quick look at deep mob learning. We're not going to be able to do a huge amount with it today because we are going to have to wait for the data model to level. But if I just shove it here, and this has a massive internal buffer, so this is going to drain like everything. I think it's got like a 2 million RF buffer or something. So basically, to do deep mob learning, you need two things. You need a data model representing a mob. So we've got the zombie one. I believe we have to start with the zombie one because I think all of the others... where are we? Yeah, all of the others require overworldian matter, whereas the zombie one just requires a blank data model and rotten flesh, and a blank data model is just electrical steel, gold, an LV circuit, and pulsating mesh. So if we put this in here, there is no polymer medium, which is our pulsating polymer clay. So I've batch crafted a load of this. So if we just shove that in, so now as you can see, it will basically run through, and give you this nice little flavor text, and then it will tell you whether or not it procured a pristine. But if it doesn't get a pristine, it will always get overworldian. It'll always get a matter, so either overworldian, hellish, or extraterrestrial, but it won't always get a pristine. And if you look, the pristine chance is currently 5%, and if we hover over this, it's collected 2 out of 50 data. So when it gets to 50, it will level up, and then it will, and that will increase the chance to 10%. I believe it is. If we look here, so the different levels are basically you start with advanced, superior, self-aware, and yeah. So the highest is self-aware, and basically when it gets to self-aware, we'll get a 30% chance of pristine matter, but we can use the overworldian matter to make iron. Unfortunately, this thing is quite slow, so I will just leave this going. But what I do want to do, if I have any spare, which I don't, is we're just going to quickly make a storage drawer. Yeah, we're going to make up a storage drawer to basically let us... so then we have somewhere to send the matter. What we'll do is... So I didn't actually need you. So what we'll do is we will throw on a... I don't have a spare void upgrade, so we'll throw... So what we're going to do is we're going to... I should have made 2 drawers. So what we're going to do is we're going to create 2 drawers. One will be for overworldian matter, and the other one will be for pristine zombie matter. What we'll do is... I don't actually... Actually, no, we don't need to bother with a void upgrade, because we're going to be using the overworldian matter to craft things like iron, so it's going to get used. It's not just going to accumulate. So one of the other things we need overworldian matter for is we need it to be able to get to the nether. So we will use overworldian matter to craft hellish matter, and then hellish matter, I believe, is used to craft... So we just grab this. Oh, there we go. We got our first pristine. We can't do anything with the pristines yet, we need to build the loot fabricator, which is gated behind energetic alloy. So we need the blast furnace in order to make the. I don't know what I came over here for. I guess I can put you away. We need the blast furnace to make the loot fabricator. What we can do is we can put you in there, and then we can lock that. And since we have a pristine, might as well shove that in there, lock it, and then I'm gonna leave this going for a few hours, and we'll see how lucky we get with pristines. I will need to put a chest down as well, so then we can load in some of the pulsating polymer clay. We probably don't want to load in all of it. We do want to get it up to self-aware, but I don't actually know how much that takes. It might actually eat all of that. It might actually... I've got plenty. I can make plenty more anyway. We'll put 6 stacks in for now. So to do that, I'm just going to have to put a chest in... just going to have to put a chest with a conduit next to it. And then that'll just chug away. Different models draw different amounts of energy, so this is only drawing 64 EU per tick, which is fine. But if we insert on brown, extract on blue, extract on brown, shove that in there, and then insert blue. Insert blue. Cool. So we basically will just leave that chugging away now. And eventually, this will be fully automated. So our goal is to work up to the Enderman. Model. Because then that will allow us to get pristine Enderman matter, and we will use that to get Ender Pearls. What we then do is use the Ender Pearls to create resonant clathrate, which can be smelted into pulsating dust, which means once we do that, our pulsating polymer clay will actually be renewable. But we are quite a bit of a way off that. Oh yeah, we're a bit of a way off that. Probably a couple of episodes or so. So I'm probably going to wrap the episode here. I don't know if you can tell by my voice, but and we're near there. We're over 30 minutes anyway. But I don't know if you can tell by my voice, but I do have a bit of a cold. So what we're going to do is I'm probably going to put a pause on both Nomi and GTNH videos for a few days. But I am going to continue to progress in... At least in Nomi, I will continue to play off camera. GTNH, I just have some chores that I want to get out of the way before I record the next video. So that will be the extent of what I do in GTNH. I'll be getting some chores out of the way, ready for the next video. But Nomi, I will probably progress a bit further off camera. But it is what it is. You know, I don't want to stop playing just because I can't record. But at the same time, I also don't want to I don't want to subject you all to a nasally voice. Or again, anyway. So if you've made it this far, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a lovely day.